So the emails show that Epstein, in December of 2018, the convicted sex trafficker, is advising the President of the United States through Steve Bannon on economic policy and foreign policy. So let's just go through this one chain. The link will be in the description as well as the whole text of this. So it starts with Epstein emailing Steve Bannon. Subject: Ari, Trump has discussed the firing of chief after latest interest rates hike report. The Hill wants to assert one thing about the appointment is that he is a lawyer, not an economist, from Yellen and Alan Greenspan, or 1997. Alan Greenspan, the economist, the doctorate have become more or less a prerequisite to the job. Without one, he told Harvard Business Review that the Fed staff will run technical rings around you. While there remains to be seen, it is true that there are over 300 Ph.D. economists on the Fed staff, and Powell could end up needing to lean on their expertise more than a Fed chair with a doctorate in economics might. And then Steve Bannon responds, can you get rid of Powell or really get rid of Mnuchin? Epstein's response: getting rid of Powell is much more important than Syria and Mattis, so General Mattis. I guess Pompeo, only one left unless the ambassador, Heather, has a brilliant idea. First, Jared and Ivanka need to go. So this is like global policy discussions between Jeffrey Epstein and Trump's policy advisor, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon talking about literally military leadership. We're talking about the Fed chairman, generals currently serving in Afghanistan, right? So Steve Bannon responds, laughing my ass off. Perfect Mnuchin hit. So trying to get him with Steve Mnuchin. And then Steve Bannon responds, in 1993, Powell began working as a marketing director for Bankers Trust, but he quit in 1995 after the bank got into trouble when several customers suffered large losses due to derivatives. He then went back to work for Dylan Reed, and he didn't understand the markets 25 years ago. Obama appointed him to the board. What else do you guys need to know? This is about removing Powell. And then, of course, Bannon's response to that is the link to the article about Trump talking about removing Powell. So literally, what this is showing is that Donald Trump did not distance himself at all from Epstein. In fact, Epstein was almost an advisor to Trump himself, or at least to the immediate people around Trump, like Steve Bannon. The people who could get to Trump were listening to Epstein, a convicted sex trafficker. There was no separation between Trump and Epstein if literally Epstein is communicating to the inner circle around Trump himself. There was a bond between these people that literally was running part of the White House, or at least advising part of the White House, and telling Trump who they should hire and fire. And that was coming from Epstein. There was a very intimate and close relationship. There was never a separation. The only separation that probably was done was because of some sort of, what is it? I don't know, maybe because Trump was trying to get in to Epstein's business and he wanted girls, and so he didn't want Epstein taking his girls because Trump was running the one-stop parties. These things will be hopefully coming out when the Manhattan DA finally turns over why it is that it did not want to ruthlessly go after a child sex trafficker like Epstein, as well as to find out what was happening to the girls. Like, share, subscribe. Let's debate. And Republicans, you cannot tell me that Donald Trump left Epstein if Epstein is literally communicating to Steve Bannon on policy decisions that the president is making and acting on, or at least acting on in the press by having these press statements where he is making statements. There you go.